Good afternoon, everyone. So I am the mayor of Cupertino, and I'm assuming that all of you have some connection with Cupertino. Hopefully all of you live in Cupertino, but if not, you probably teach in Cupertino or you have some association with Cupertino. So my talk is going to be somewhat Cupertino-centric. So I just heard a story about Lyndon Johnson and the history aficionados, the history experts we heard from this afternoon. They might be familiar with this quote. So apparently Lyndon Johnson once said that every time I feel weighed down by the burden of the presidency and wonder why I am doing this, I say, thank God I'm not a city mayor. And that's a sort of a baffling comment, because as people who are familiar with Lyndon Johnson's presidency know, there's just a lot going on in the country. Civil rights, and Vietnam, and he took over after President Kennedy was assassinated. So with all this going on, he would still rather be the president than a city mayor. That was completely incomprehensible, and I think I also completely disagree. So every month I have a meeting with the public, and it's called Chai with the Mayor. And and we usually have it at Starbucks, usually in the Target shopping center. People come up to me at the end of the meeting and say, why would you want to do something like this? Implying, am I in my right mind? And what would impel me to take on such a bizarre job? And it does seem like a thankless job, and often they're right. Sometimes just because I don't know what to say, I turn to them and say, so why are you here? You know, because there's a sizable population of 15, 20 people at these Chai with the Mayor events. And the responses I get, and this is fresh in my mind because I just had one last night. People come and say, oh, because I like the coffee at Starbucks. So it had nothing to do with Cupertino, it had nothing to do with listening to me talk about Cupertino, but it had everything to do with chai or the coffee at Starbucks. So everyone has a reason, and everyone thinks differently, and everyone has to be respected for the opinions they hold. And that, if anything, is the one thing I have learned from being mayor, that there is no right position, or let me phrase it a little differently. I always think that my position is the right position, but I also have understood that my right, or my quote-unquote right position, is not the only position that works. And so that is sort of the starting point, or the premise for my mayoral term, which ends in December of this year. But I'll tell you something. Regardless of what President Lyndon Johnson said, leadership at the city level is quite unique. It's not really someone like me, the mayor, going forward in marches or yelling and screaming or doing any activist stuff. And all of it could be there, but I don't do any of that. I'm not marching down Stevens Creek Boulevard yelling and screaming. I don't even do other things. I don't even have to have specific qualifications to be a mayor. You know, for a finance director, you have to have a finance degree. A planner needs a planning degree. I don't need to have anything. It helps if you have some of these things, but it's not critical. So there's a unique sense of what leadership means to a person in my position. And really, when you work for government, especially local government, leadership is partnership. There's nothing else. It's not like one person moving ahead and doing great things. It is all about partnership. Because a practical thing that you have to remember is I am the mayor, but I am only one voice in on a city council panel, which has 5 members. So I am one vote, and for anything to happen, for anything to pass, anything to be approved, 3 of the 5 have to approve any action. So there's a sense of humility, there's a sense of surrender that comes with it, because often I am so convinced I have exactly what the city needs, and 4 out of the 5 believe that it's not, that they vote exactly the opposite. So there's a sense of humility, a sense of reconciliation, and in the end, you just have to sort of laugh about it and say, hey, maybe I wasn't so right after all. Anyway, coming back to the Lyndon Johnson quote again, we at the city level are where it all happens. We have impact. What we do affects us as residents, affects me as a resident, affects businesses, affects all the stakeholders who have something to do with our city. We are not removed from the public. We have community meetings all the time. We are seeing people all the time. We have events in Memorial Park all the time. Holi, Diwali, Cherry Blossom Festival, Earth Festival, movies in the park, free Shakespeare in the park, so on. And at all these events, there are people who come up. You cannot avoid them. You cannot run away. If you had a terrible council meeting where everything you said was criticized to its fullest, you still can't hide. You have to show up at these meetings and deal with people. That's a pretty unique experience. The spelling bee, the hackathon. We are with people all the time, and everywhere you go to a supermarket and people come and say, hey, why didn't you fix the pothole on my street? And I say, what pothole, what street? And then they tell you where it is. And then I don't know most of these answers, so I sort of look, people take their name, take their email, and say someone will get back to you. So mainly, a lot of the work I do is sort of just passing it on to other people. And believe me, and these other people are city people, city staff, and they are the ones who do stuff. So we as council, me as mayor and my fellow council members, all we do is we tell them what to do. And they're the folks who actually figure out how to do it. So there's a huge responsibility on the part of the city staff, which is led by a city manager, and they are the doers. We are just the talkers. We spend hours and hours talking. If you have had the misfortune to listen to any of the city council meetings, which go on every other Tuesday and start at 6:30 and go till 11:30, midnight, and I'm told that that's early compared to what used to happen in previous years. There's just a lot of talk, but that talk does translate into action, and when the action actually results in a result coming out, that to me is leadership. So here's what else we do. Besides being in touch with the public, where some of the members of the public approve of what I do, many don't. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. Being engaged with the community, with the city is what matters. And I will venture to say, it is only at the city that impactful things are happening. We are attempting to solve problems. We haven't succeeded in solving all the problems, but we are attempting to solve problems. We take on big issues. We tackle challenges, climate change, transportation, housing, sustainability. All this is possible because of the community we live in. If the community wasn't interested in, say, climate change, we wouldn't even venture there. But our community is great, and it is interested. It's not just interested, it's passionate about community service, about sustainability, about climate change. And all of them, whether they're on your side or whether they're opposing you vehemently, they all believe in a vision of Cupertino. A vision in their minds, always an improvement, a better vision, and a vision of a city that works for everyone. works for people who want to live here, who works for people who want to play here, who want to work here, who just want to visit here for the restaurants and the festivals. So the vision is what is important, and you've heard other people say this. Leadership is all about vision. And again, I emphasize leadership for us means partnership. A partnership which has vision, partners who can look beyond the immediate and talk about what it is that they see in the future for our city. That to me is vision. Now look at some of the things the city has accomplished recently. You might think that I am bragging, and you would be right. Because it's hard to, as most of you, maybe not the students, but the adults, anytime you deal with government, it's not easy. Government is inherently complicated. Nothing is simple. You go to renew a permit, you go to renew a driver's license, you have to prepare for long waits, you have to prepare for service, not so great service, you have to prepare for just spending a lot of time and effort to get where you want to get to. So when I say brag, I think I'm somewhat justified. So look at housing. Housing is something that's such a compelling issue these days. We have the state telling us we are not doing enough for the people. And we have people like me and some of my colleagues who believe, yes, that's right, we're not doing enough for people. We cannot live in a city where there's single-family homes and single-family homes only. Where are the students going to live? Where are the teachers? We have great schools. Where are the teachers from these great schools going to live? Where are the De Anza College students going to live? Where are the De Anza College instructors going to live? Where are the Starbucks baristas going to live? So these are the questions that should keep us up at night. It is not enough to say that people who can afford $2 million or $3 million, which is sort of all the basic price for a house, shocking, but that is the truth. These are not the only people that should be living in Cupertino. It works fine for now, but can you imagine down the line what is going to happen? As it is, the demographics are changing. We are an older city. We have a sizable population that's over 65, and the reverse. Enrollment is dropping, and those of you who are familiar with Cupertino schools know that we've had to close 2 elementary schools in the last 2 years, last year. I mean, it's taken many years of thinking and many years of deliberations, but the end result was 2 schools in Cupertino. This is a city which is known for its schools. It's world-renowned for its schools. Its schools make the top 5. The blue school, what's the blue, I don't know, certificate of excellence. They make all the top, they take all the top spots in any competitive schools list. And we've had to close 2 schools. And I always tell people like me, I moved to Cupertino for the schools. I don't think anyone moves into a city and says, wow, I really like the city council in the city, so that's where I'm going to move. No one says that, but people do say, I like the schools in that city, and that's where I want to live for my children, for my grandchildren, and so on. So schools are important, enrollment is important, and enrollment is important because that is what sustains schools. How do we get enrollment? By being more welcoming, by being more inviting to all income levels, to all kinds of families, to all kinds of people who want to come and live in our city. We in Cupertino have a quota come down from the state. Our quota is 4,588 units in the next 8-year cycle. Seems like a lot, and it is a lot. But we are lucky. We have 2 main transit corridors. Stevens Creek Boulevard, De Anza Boulevard. These 2 streets, traffic corridors, are not residential. They are primarily commercial, and this is where we hope to build 4,588 units over the next 8 years. Will Cupertino change? Of course it will. The face of Cupertino will change. But if you live in an established single-family household, that will not change. And that is what I mean by coming up with an ambitious plan to build these 4,500 units. It is not just building housing anywhere you think or willy-nilly, but it is based on some responsibility and thought and deliberation and a vision for what we want the city to look like 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 8 years from now. Now, all of this doesn't come easy. People don't want it. None of us like change. We like things to stay the way it is. But that is the difference between someone who has vision and someone who doesn't. And when I say someone, and I mean the entire public, we all have a vision that things have to change. Things cannot stay the same. We cannot have the least expensive townhouse costing $2 million. This is unaffordable and it's unsustainable. And hopefully with more and more townhomes and condos and duplexes and triplexes, we will see a better environment, a more welcoming, a more inclusive environment. Other challenges that a city like Cupertino takes on: transportation. Transportation, as we all know, is just an impossible situation here. Everyone drives 2 cars. If you are in a family of 4, and they're all of drivable age, then you have 4 cars. That again is unsustainable. It's difficult to do too many things as far as transportation is concerned, but as a city, we can do small things. We have a micro transit operation called the SV Hopper, the Silicon Valley Hopper. So this is it's like a on-demand shuttle, very much like Uber or Lyft, but geared for everyone, primarily Cupertino residents who want to go from, we've talked to school districts, we've talked to schools, we've talked to Dianza College, and this is transportation that takes you within the city of Cupertino until this last December, when Santa Clara, city of Santa Clara jumped in and said, we too would like to be part of this. So now we extended the SV Hopper from Cupertino to Santa Clara. And just this past month, Sunnyvale came in and said, hey, we want to be part of the SV Hopper. So now if all, they're still in a discussion, and if all goes well, Sunnyvale and Cupertino and Santa Clara will all have this micro transit operation, which won't solve the entire problem, but which is so much better than what we have now. So this is another example of where a city can provide leadership to the region and provide a level of service at an enhanced level which wasn't there before. What else does Cupertino have? We have trails. You would think that everyone likes trails. We like parks, we like trails, we like to walk, we like to bike. Not true. We have a sizable population opposed to trails. Because admit it, trails have their problems. You have to get rid of trees, you have to put asphalt, there's a certain environmental impact, and so there's always a population that says, why don't we leave things just as they are? And that really is the crux of public policy. We cannot leave things as they are, whether it's a trail, whether it's a park, whether it's transportation, whether it's housing. We have to look forward. We have to have a vision. We have to move forward only because there is no other choice. We cannot be mired in the past, and that is the sad truth. It's the truth. I'm not sure it's sad, but it's the truth, and something that we all have to reconcile to. Let's see, what else? We are in the forefront of sustainability. We are one of the few cities which actually thinks of birds. We have a bird-safe ordinance. And what does a bird-safe ordinance do? We make sure that lights are not turned on all night. And I didn't know too much about it till I became an elected official. There's so much research done on how confusing lights are for birds. They think it's day. They fly into windows which have lights. So we have a very strict bird ordinance which says turn off the lights if you're a business, turn off the lights when the business closes. So the birds are not confused. We have something called the dark skies ordinance. Again, the dark sky is meant to help birds fly at night. Lights confuse birds. So that, again, I'm not sure too many cities are focusing on this, but we are, because we have a strong, active community led by the Audubon Society, but other residents as well, who firmly believe that birds need to be protected, and there are millions of birds that are dying every year in America because of the confusion that they experience when lights are turned on and there's glass that they hit against and die. What else? We put a lot of emphasis on bike and pedestrian lanes. We want to get away from the notion that everyone needs to go everywhere by driving a car. And this one kid, one car, one driver, that's the notion we're trying to get away from. So again, this involves leadership. Leadership involves partnership. We need the cooperation of schools, we need the cooperation of parents, we need the cooperation of businesses, and we need the cooperation of anyone who uses a city street. Bike lanes, pedestrian lanes, some like them, some don't like them, but we still have to figure out a way where people who don't want to drive cars can go from point A to point B. I already mentioned the SV hopper, but we also need to provide other options. What else? We partner with schools. We partner with De Anza College to provide better bike lanes and pedestrian lanes. So, and the last one, we in Cupertino have a very unique advantage. We are the boba capital of the world. And I don't know if you've noticed it, but we have many, many boba shops in Cupertino. And apparently, the first one was started, and I don't know, I haven't checked Wikipedia, but we brag that we are the first, we got the first boba shop in the United States. So that's something to take nothing away from this afternoon. Remember that. So to be a leader in this space, and Cupertino certainly is one, we can never ever forget the importance of partnerships, because being a leader, being anyone in the community means being a partner. You're a resident, you're a large company, you're a small business, you're a stakeholder. Whichever way you look at it, we're all in this together. Only then can we come together and create a city, a space where vision, talent, and dedication all come together. This is where the rubber meets the road.